So dads are what I call the three U's. They are underscreened, underdiagnosed, and underserved. I think what happens is that when a family has loss and they're discharged from the hospital, mom has a lot of subsequent connection to healthcare providers, and dad kind of disappears. There's no follow-up physical exam. Oftentimes, it's kind of return to work as normal. If there's other children, he's not generally necessarily the one taking them to the pediatrician. So there's not a lot of points of entry for him to be screened for depression or to have support after the loss of a baby. I think it's important for providers when they have a family that they know has had a loss to not just check in with mom how she's doing, but to follow up and ask dad how he's doing and what kind of services he might have as well. Whether it's a support group, whether it is some peers that he can talk to. But with dads in particular, their depression would look different than it would for mom. And it's not just sort of like sad feelings and what we tend to look for, like a lot of tearfulness, which is something that might happen for moms with grief, is there's a real shutting downs with dad. And there's a lot of irritability, there's a lot of anger, but there's a stoicism that I think happens because just in general, we don't really encourage men to talk a lot about their feelings. We don't sort of provide them this opportunity, and dads can just really disappear into work. There might be sort of more tendency towards affairs or substance use to cope, this sort of intensity to push away some of the hurt feelings because there's not really a structure in place. What's so interesting is even in research for the last 30 years or so, there's a tremendous amount of research on ways in which stillbirth and infant loss affects women, but there is very little research on the ways in which stillbirth and infant loss impacts dads.